Richardson up ahead. Look out. Hello, Amari Stoudemire elevates and detonates.
Welcome in, Planeteers. It's been a week, 2-2, so progress. Thanks for joining us. Sorry we're a little bit late. We're trying to tweak the format, trying to give the people what they want. Boost those 5-star reviews, those likes, those subscribes, all those things that the algorithm gods pay attention to that Kevin pretends to know about, and then he tells me I need to focus on them. So appreciate that, Kevin. Did you just eat your bottle open?
I did.
Do it again. Do it again for the people.
Well, stay tuned. I have another bottle here.
All right. Well, the Thriller from Manila will be busting up in his teeth. Be sure to check him out. He'll identify it more later in the show, so you can make sure you're locked in on him. But let's go to the Boston Bruiser, the Bruce man himself. Say hi to the folks, Bruce.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? A good week, I guess you could say, for the Suns, 2-2, and I think we kind of had some of those predictions as well from some of us, so that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And let's see. You know, it's Michael P's already. See, now he knows why I'm late. We were getting ready for this. Put his corned beef brisket on today for St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if Matt celebrates St. Patrick's Day. He might celebrate Occupation Day. No, I'm just kidding, Matt. That's just a bold statement. Bold statement from the colonial cousin over here. But let's see. I know Kevin's got a drink. Do you have a drink, Bruce? Are you just drinking water with us today?
I got the water today.
Okay. Well, I have Guinness nitrogenated for smoothness, drought stout. So let's see how long it takes me to drink it.
Is that William Dafoe? Willem Dafoe, I should say.
Oh, it goes down so nicely. Oh, hold on one second. I'm live on the air, but my wife is calling. Somebody's here. Well, don't open the door. That's all I can tell them. Well, I'm sorry. I can't. I'm live on the air. The people need me. So if there's somebody at the door, please go away.
Take the man of the people, ladies and gentlemen.
This is an exciting moment live on air. Now, this is great commentary. When there's somebody ringing your doorbell when you're live on a podcast, it really makes you want to have another one. That's what I'm getting at. So we'll go ahead and top this off because, hey, we're Suns fans. We deserve it. We were kind of misled. This big three was supposed to work out. It's not really working out. So let's get into the game, shall we? Let's talk about that amazing and actually, I'll just turn it over to you guys because I'm still getting yelled at. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about the Mavericks game?
Well, Mavericks game. Oh my goodness, I didn't have the stats for this, Bruce, but let me pull them up. So the Suns came away with a win as expected, because if they did not, then all hell breaks loose. Don't you think?
Oh yes. It was nice to see the Suns kind of get a nice win, like we mentioned. The Mavericks are also that team that the Suns are chasing for that last play-in spot. So I believe with that win, they secured the tiebreaker versus the Dallas Mavericks. So even if the Suns do see some sporadic losses, here and there, as long as the Mavericks keep losing, as if the Suns do pass them, they will have that tiebreaker over them, which I think is, good to see and for those playoff hopes. And the Mavericks, didn't have a lot of their players. Obviously, Kyrie, AD out. They've been very injured this season. Didn't have a center for much of that game. And the Suns were able to expose that. They were, attacking at the rack, going at the rim in that game, and it allowed for a lot more of an offensive creation for the big three from the Suns.
That's right. So as far as I can see, Kessler Edwards was the main guy at the 5 there,
Yep.
and he's 6'7". So the
Hmm.
Suns are expected to abuse him, and they did. But they basically it's a huge win, like you said, for for the Suns who's catching up. But the Suns are still outside looking in on that play-in spot, and hopefully this win would mean a thing. Like you mentioned, the tiebreaker, of course, is now owned by the Suns, but there's still a long ways to go. I believe the Mavericks are still 3 games ahead in the win column, right? If I'm not mistaken, or two, after today's or yesterday's win. But Jake, back to your regular scheduled programming.
Well, you'll appreciate this. This is how you know I live in the Midwest, where we have really just kind of hit summertime, what we call fall spring, where yesterday it was 76 degrees. Today it's currently 33. So a little bit of a drop there. But my internet company has come to bury the cable line, and they said, we're going to cut your internet just for a minute. And I said, no, you're not, because I'm live with the Planeteers. So figure that out again and come back. And next time, maybe announce yourself instead of live on air. No, the Suns against the Mavericks game. Well, we realized that Klay Thompson can't carry a team anymore. That's what I've come up with in that game. I was a little nervous we were actually going to drop it. Obviously, glad that we did not. There is no benefit for us to lose games. Zero. There's not a draft pick at the end of this rainbow for us. So just win every game you can. That's the most important thing. But as you guys point out, they're so depleted on that Dallas team. I was frustrated that we weren't just clowning them immediately. I mean, we were up 6 points at halftime. So, yeah. A win is a win, and all these guys are professionals, so that's why they're in the league. But, yeah. Sorry, that's my quick take. We're doing quick takes today, and honestly, I don't think anyone cared about that Mavericks game except for the fact that we are in the chase. We are in the chase, and we're trying to make up for some games because we're a little bit back. So then we move on to the a competitive game, I'll give it that, against a team that's way above us in the standings. The Memphis Grizzlies beat us 120-118. We've had some close games against the Grizzlies. So it's another loss. KD led us with 35 points. Booker chipped in 26. Memphis led by Ja Morant, 29 points. But let me ask you guys this. We've played them competitively. Is there any chance that you think if we made the playoffs, we could beat them in a 7-game series? Let's tweak this convo a little bit. Being that both of you are stepping up to this conversation, I can tell you're as excited about it.
I don't necessarily. I think they could give them a run, depending on the series. It would all have to be on the matchups, because the one thing that we've seen with the Memphis and Phoenix games is they've been pretty high scoring. And one of those factors that we'll get into probably in a little bit, discussing some of these later games during the week that has been implemented, was not implemented in this game once again versus the Grizzlies. And I think that if they implemented that, the Suns would have a better chance of beating this Grizzlies team. But I don't even know if the Grizzlies can pass the Thunder at this point. So if the Suns were to meet them in the playoffs, it'd have to be like a second round or something like that, which I don't know if they'd be able to even do that. It's a lot to ask.
Yeah. Kevin?
Yeah, I think for me, the Suns are, I think, just lucky that these are all just close games. You have here Desmond Bane, who only had how many points? 10 points last outing, when he averages 18 points a game. So just pure luck. And of course, these Grizzlies were missing Luke Kennard, Jaren Jackson, Brandon Clark, Aldama, and all those guys that contribute. So I don't think maybe a 4-1 series in favor of the Grizzlies. Maybe the Suns can catch them off guard. Maybe the first game, but I don't see the Suns passing the Grizzlies.
I'd give it 4-2. I'd give it 4-2 puncher's chance. I just think this is a team that we match up with a little bit better than average. And who knows, based on how we played last night, maybe this team, we're catching fire.
We're in the cusp. We're in the cusp of a run. Yeah.
I tell you what, not like those losers at the top. We're about ready to surprise the whole league. No, then we went to another team equally above us in the standings as the Grizzlies are, with the Houston Rockets, where we dropped the game 111 to 104. This time, Bradley Beal. I hope King Nacho is listening. Bradley Beal led the team with 25 points, and I'm sure he'll tell us that he still was somehow terrible, but. Beal was the leader of this one, 19 and 19 from Booker and Durant, but it was still not enough to make up for what is a team effort by the Houston Rockets. 29 from Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, I'm getting better at his name, was 7 of 7 for 20 points because, of course, why not? Houston Rockets. Are we knocking them out in the playoffs, guys?
No. They're the epitome of what the Suns are, are the Suns' kryptonite, basically. Young, athletic, rugged, with Dylan Brooks out there, with Cam Whitmore, all physical. I don't see them passing the Rockets, too, unfortunately.
This is interesting. Sorry, they're digging the trench right now, so I don't know. If I lose the internet, you guys are carrying the show, and I'm also going to be pissed. But I can see clearly, the look on their face of you're live. I don't care, influencer. What are you, F League celebrity? Yes, that is. I'm an F League. But they also probably drove off all this way, and they're like, "What are we supposed to do now?" And they're all dressed up in their sweatshirts and everything. They're like, "Just dig the trench, man. Just dig the trench." And they're going to keep looking at me as I'm drinking my Guinness and doing stuff like this. Suns. So that'll probably frustrate them. But let me ask you guys this then: who, before we touch on the most recent game, is there anyone in the West outside of the Thunder that you think could go all the way this year in the West?
That's a nice question.
And maybe the Thunder isn't even your first choice. I still am pretty high on the Nuggets, actually.
Yeah, there's a couple teams I think in the West that could kind of make a run. I think off the top of my head, the Thunder are my main favorite. I think they have the best chance. But then I think the Nuggets match up against them pretty well. We've seen that with with Nikola Jokic and the big man presence down low. I think it just what kind of scoring are we going to get from Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. in that type of series compared to the Thunder, which is a little bit of a variable that we'll have to see. I also think that a team like the Warriors would also match up against them pretty well with their veteran experience. I think that with the Warriors adding Jimmy Butler, he obviously takes a step up in the playoffs that we've seen in recent years. And I think that him with Steph Curry kind of going for that last push could be a little bit of a team. And then I think the Grizzlies also are a little bit of a dark horse just because they have that young experience. They can play both sides of the ball. I really think with the West, though, it's going to come down to the matchups when it all comes said and done. Because a team like the Rockets, I think, has the experience to make it there, but they don't have enough it power with that one star to really take over in a playoff series compared to some of these teams, to where they may lose a series because of that, where they're going to be a good regular season team, and it's all just going to depend on who they play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think, real quick though, on the Warriors one, do you think the Warriors would just beat the Thunder, or do you think the Warriors could go all the way to the finals?
I think the Warriors have a chance to go to the finals. I think that there's a culture in Golden State of obviously being a winning culture, and the Lakers too. I forgot about the Lakers as well, but the Lakers are a team that also are a team that's also in that conversation. But
I'd be so pissed. No, I gotta stop you. I'd be so pissed.
I mean, I'm not going to be. I wouldn't be happy about it either. But I think that in the Western Conference compared to the Eastern Conference, there's so many variables with some of these teams where I think that in any series, any of them could potentially win. You look at the Thunder last year versus that Mavericks team, where the Mavericks just were able to kind of use that wing shooting from their extra players, where the Thunder didn't have those guys step up, and that's what was able to propel them in that series. And who knows, a Warriors team with Jimmy Butler could put him on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in a little bit of mismatches and stuff like that, be able to hinder that, and then maybe not be able to stop them down low, but have that 3-point shooting to match, where if they go cold and it's just SGA, they might be able to overpower them. And then if they match up against like a Grizzlies, maybe if they matched up against the Nuggets, it'd be a little bit difficult, but I don't know.
Yeah, since Bruce have already like kind of went in depth on these things, but my top 2 picks would be Denver as well. Or let me put 3. Denver. I have the Warriors as well going all the way, and the Lakers as well. Although it pisses us off. Yeah.
If the Lakers somehow win all the way, I'm gonna say collusion. I'm gonna say the election was stolen. I'm gonna say January 9ers or Sixers or whatever they were, but whatever the NBA version of that needs to take place, because the absolute theft that took place of the Dallas Mavericks right around the time of the low ratings of the NBA, to all of a sudden get Luka with LeBron. LeBron can have the swan song and passes it over to Luka, and they can continue to have one of the dominant teams be good. It's interesting.
Jake, do you think David Stern would have vetoed that trade?
Oh yeah. I think he
would.
No, yeah. There's so many questions to be asked. Like, I'm still waiting for the Lakers to be punished for being like, oh wait, yeah, no, giving away a first-round pick. We're just used to like stealing stuff. Like, we didn't think we were going to get that Luka deal done. Like the Mark Richards from Hornets deal for an unprotected first-round pick. They're just like, yeah, no, we're backing out of that deal. And they're just like, oh, okay. And then Richards goes and plays like 32 minutes the next night and plays well for the Hornets. And it's like, I'm sorry, do they not get any? Like, are we just going to be like, you can't trust them when you trade with them? Like, it's. I'm sorry, when you are a historically good franchise, and I'm going to knock Bruce's second favorite team, or at least his other favorite team. We'll give it that. They might be current because at least, we've seen how the Suns play for them. But you've got the Celtics and the Lakers that have won, like, I'm going to be off here, maybe even exaggerate. Maybe I'm not too much. 40% of the NBA titles have gone to those two franchises.
Like 18 and 19.
Exactly. And I like the more competitive, kind of like the NFL has it. Any team, any given year can go on a run and surprise you. It's not likely if you're a bad team going in, you're going to do it. But like my New Orleans Saints have won one Super Bowl. They're a small market team, but like things can go right and they can get it all the way. The Suns have been the most competitive and most dominant franchise to never win an NBA title, basically. I don't know if we still hold that acclaim. I know that was the longest running deal for us, and we've made 3 NBA finals only to come up short each time. I don't know. I like that the NBA has dynasties, but I think I'm also like, if this whole thing, that's why the conspiracy, like, I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but there's just enough noise in the back of my brain that's like, Luka to the Lakers for 1 first-round pick. It's like, yes, no. And then Anthony Davis plays 1 game and he's done. Of course, this is how it's supposed to happen. Like, I know the Mavericks were like, no, we're a defensive team. It makes sense for us to do this. It does not. You're fooling yourselves. I feel bad for you Mavericks fans. You don't deserve my hate, even though I view you as a rival. But I don't know. Would you guys be as equally upset if somehow the Lakers were just like, oh, yeah, LeBron and Luka, we're here?
Yeah, I don't want to see the Lakers in the finals for being fans of both, and I don't want to have to deal with that finals. I think that it would do good for the NBA, and I think it would be cool to see LeBron or Jason Tatum versus Luka Doncic in a rematch where Luka's on a different team. Like, I think that kind of narrative is a little bit cool. But I think if that's the only way that narrative is cool is if you're looking at it from my lens. So, or if you're like, you know what I mean? Like, I just say that as bias. So, like,
I'm okay if it happens next year.
Yeah,
but, like, it's too perfect to be like, oh, low ratings, boom, greatest player on the Lakers. Oh, how did that happen?
Yeah, I think this year there's a lot of talk of them potentially making it, but I think that we will see in the finals or in the playoffs, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be, better constructed as like a team, you know what I mean, compared to the Lakers, in which I think the Lakers could always lose. But the fact that they have LeBron and Luka, like, you just never know, you know what I mean? It's just it's really painful.
Well, Kevin, equally painful.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. All right. Well, then the Suns. Hey, you know what? We're going to the finals, guys. We don't even have to worry about the Lakers doing it because the Suns are doing it. As we knock off the Sacramento Kings, who are a couple games ahead of us in the standings. We took out, a really phenomenal team that Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. That's firepower. I mean, they don't play defense, but that's firepower. And look at that. The Suns actually win 122-106. And I'll tell you what, this fan base is so down on this team that in the group chats that I was in, I was seeing messages. So by how much are we going to lose the third quarter and then lose this game? Well, we didn't lose the third quarter, but we just assumed we would. We actually expanded our lead by we threw it up 10 more points in the third quarter. We won that well. So, guys, turning point? Are we going?
I mean, I feel like
we beat the Mavericks, who have Klay Thompson.
I feel like every win, it's a turning point for us. But
it's a turning point from going down into the gutter, and it's like, maybe not all the way in the gutter.
But yeah, I mean, good win, but I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I agree with Kevin. I feel like this team goes win, 2 losses, win, 2 losses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how our heartbeat has been going with this team in the course of the motion. I mean, the only good things that we can kind of take away from this Kings game is we saw the lineup change, which Ryan Dunn got implemented into the starting lineup. And once again, we see this Suns team look great with Ryan Dunn. I know Evan Cedery had a tweet a couple days ago or last week where he said that the Suns have one of the best net ratings in the NBA with Durant, Dunn, and Booker on the court. And you can clearly see it when they play together that they play well. We also seen Oso Ighodaro for, maybe some Mason Plumlee bad actions or whatever, but he's getting into some fights, causing some chaos down low in the paint. And with no Nick Richards, the Suns have been going with Oso Ighodaro. And once again, the rookie has come out to play. So Mike Budenholzer has done this not only with Ryan Dunn, Bol Bol, but also Ighodaro. 3 Suns players that are all young and all need development, has taken them, played them, made them look really good, put them on the bench for 15, 20 games, disregarded them, and then brought them back in, and they've shined. And there's been no discourse or talk about really that much either.
Yeah, Kevin, do you know if somebody kidnapped Coach Bud last night? Because he's not supposed to play Ryan Dunn in the starting lineup. He's not supposed to play Oso Ighodaro 30-plus minutes in a game unless it's, November? I mean, it feels like it's been that long since we've had it.
Yeah, well, I think, the absences of Grayson Allen and as well as Nick Richards have forced his hand finally to play those 2 guys. And, it's like for the fans, we told you so. And these guys, impact winning, as we have seen last night. Although, you live on some of their mistakes, they're rookies, but, it alleviates all the good that they do or the impact that they do or that they have on the game. Ryan Dunn, really special player, and you could really see his potential over there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it for weeks on this show. I mean, if you're not going to be good, even if we make the play-in, if we make the playoffs, Ryan Dunn's on the roster. Oso Ighodaro's on the roster. I mean, unless you trade them in the offseason, but they're under contract going into next year. You might as well play them instead of the guys that are one and dones here. But I do want to give a quick little shout out. I mean, we don't have a drop because I'm not a drop maker, and that's something I need to learn on. But so I'll just give him this.
Shazam!
To Tyus Jones, 6 of 6 from 3-point land last night. Hey, Tyus, appreciate you. You got moved to the bench, and It was deserved. Really, I don't blame him. I still blame Bud for a lot of this stuff in terms of lineups and play calling. But hey, Ty has 20 points. He was 6 of 7 overall, and 4 assists, 0 turnovers. Works for me. So I like that one. And Kevin has daddy stuff, so we can't see Kevin for a moment. But let me clear that out. And guys, I guess that brings us to our slightly tweaked format, because we want to get more engaged with you guys in the comment section and not bore you guys as much with the stats. You see the games. You know what's happening Planeteers. It's not great. And honestly, we're getting depressed being like, why are we sucking so much? So we're going to have a little bit more, kind of Q&A with you guys and a little bit back and forth with ourselves. So first question, and we put together a little bit of a poll on this earlier, but who is the best player this season? And Bruce, I'm forced to start with you because Kevin's not here, but who has been the best player for the Suns during this tough season?
So this, I think, could be viewed as 2 players, but I'm going to go with Kevin Durant for the Phoenix Suns this season. I think that Durant has shown that he can still be that. Yeah, that's why I was laughing, because of John's comment. But Durant has shown that he can be that number 1 option. Now, obviously, Booker is the franchise player. He's been that guy. But Durant, has been, when the Suns were on that 8-1, start off to the season hot off before they got all those injuries, Durant was one of their best players, was in, kind of those MVP early conversations, but you know what I mean, was viewed as a top tier player, still regarded as across the NBA, and has transcended that on the offensive side and the defensive side for this Suns team. I think that, in my opinion, he has been, even at his age, super impressive that he can still continue to do this alongside some other superstars. And I don't see any really signs of him, digressing in a drastic way in these next, year to next 2 to 3 years, to where he would really affect the ability to compete for a championship.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kevin, what do you think has been the best player?
Suns, right?
For the Suns, yes. Not the MVP. We talked about that actually last week.
So I'm assuming Bruce picked KD, and I'm going to pick KD as well for 26.7 points a game.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about this guy? I brought an old one back.
You might be a king or a little street sweeper, but sooner or later you dance with the Reaper.
And that's the limitation of my video editing capabilities. But we brought back the classics just for you, Planeteers. Please go off on more about the Slim Reaper.
That's the Reaper? I thought it was Voldemort for a second.
No, Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure, the lesser-known cousin of the Bill and Ted franchise.
Oh gosh, but yeah, going back on Kevin Durant, still right around his career average is 26 and 7 a game. And it's been so consistent. Sorry.
Clearly, not everyone in your household agrees with you, Kevin.
Yeah, I think his pick is Mason Plumlee, or her pick is Mason Plumlee.
Plum dog. She's a plum dog fan.
But yeah, to my point. KD still a very good player. Hasn't shown any type of regression offensively, and he's still the number 1 person, in terms of blocks. Someone fact check me on that, but I think he's still the team leader in blocks. So as good as you can get from KD, which is why it's a shame that the Suns couldn't properly build around it to Devin Booker and KD.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but he's my pick, definitely the most consistent one out of the 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give a shout out to those who have retweeted it on the Suns Planet Podcast Twitter account. We sent out that poll, who's been the best player of the year for the Suns, and 68% Kevin Durant, so overwhelmingly running away with it. Second place, Devin Booker. Third place, Bradley Beal. Hey, Grayson Allen, shout out Hamo. He's our third best player. And Grayson Allen got 4% of the vote. Hey, he's shooting lights out still from three. So you got to give the man some credit. And I feel like Grayson still has that I'm going to try attitude. So that's been great to see. But yeah, let's see where we want to go to next.
We go with the blaming game.
Yeah, but let's grab a swig first.
What's the name of that nightclub of yours again?
You talking about the Boom Boom Room?
Yeah, the Boom Boom Room. That's it. Funky. Yeah. Funky. Yeah. Funky. Yeah. Funky. Yeah.
Sorry, I just realized I didn't even say who is the best player. Myself, and it's KD. So
You're going
for all
first
the
on
things-
this one, Jake. You're going first on this one.
No, yeah. Oh, who deserves the most blame? So this has been this is a fun topic on Suns Twitter lately. Between Kevin Durant is the best player, so therefore he should elevate this team. Devin Booker, you are the franchise. You should be taking more of a leadership role. Bradley Beal, we pay you more than anyone else. You should be doing more. Coach Bud, we gave you a lot more money than Vogel, and we brought you in. You are an NBA champion coach. Fix this. James Jones, you have how many years here? And all the way up to Matt Ishbia, $2 hot dogs. There's a lot to be said here about who deserves the blame. And honestly, it's Mason Plumlee. It's none of the no. It's for me. I've actually mixed it up a lot this season. Who deserves the most blame? For me, it's Coach Bud. I don't know if it's just how his face looks after a loss, but it looks like a man that clearly knows he's in the wrong. He looks like, I don't know, he looks like we've all had that friend that's working just a little bit too hard at their job that like comes back and you're like, hey man, how are you? I haven't seen you for a while. And like bloodshot eyes. And they're just like, just another day, another dollar. And you're like, whoa, calm down here. I feel like that's Bud after every loss. It's, take one game at a time, give them credit, whoever them is. It's always the other team. Just, they played great defense. We turned the ball over a little bit. We're going to work on that. I don't think we've worked on it. I don't think there's been enough of a rotational change. He's always about 2-3 weeks behind what is needed in terms of change. Like, hey, Ryan Dunn, so finally, great. 2-3 weeks late. Getting Bull off the bench and into a game like 3-4 months late and doing that. So for me, Coach Bud, there's a lot of blame to go around. Doesn't mean that everyone's excused from it. But if somebody has just a little bit more, a plurality, I'm going Coach Bud right now.
I will go.
Nobody wants to wade in. Yeah. Come on in, guys. The water's fine. Everyone's yelling it in the chat.
I'm going with the front office because I have had complaints about this front office dating back to before I even was covering the Phoenix Suns, when I was just a fan as a kid watching the draft and seeing guys like Dragan Bender get drafted to this team. And
next Dirk Nowitzki, I'm told.
Yes. And for the Phoenix Suns, they finally obviously got their star in Devin Booker. They obviously wanted to build around him and Kevin Durant, and they had that opportunity, right? And there was a point before Bradley Beal and this whole, he wanted to come to the Phoenix Suns where there were other teams that were interested in him. The Suns were the team that reached out to Bradley Beal and wanted to go get him and wanted to do that deal and wanted to do that. And that's all due to the front office. And you could cause that as the first real, I would say, domino to, I guess, really affect this team, because that was one of the first trades that you could look back at where you could say you traded for a $50 million no trade clause contract that could stab you in the back or be an overpay at some point. And you walked into that situation kind of open arms, I guess you could say, willingly to take that by trading away all your draft capital when there were other moves to be made. I know from covering the Phoenix Suns that I didn't know this when it came out, but I've seen the tweets from Gambo that they could have gotten Jordan Poole, right? And you argue that Jordan Poole obviously is a worse player than Bradley Beal, 100%. But you look at the contract of Jordan Poole, and it's a much easier get out situation if something goes wrong than a contract in Bradley Beal with this, which is $50 million compared to $35 million and a no trade clause. If the Suns, I've had this argument multiple times, but with Bradley Beal's contract, he would have been traded this season if it wasn't $50 million or if it wasn't a no trade clause. The fact that it was both, which was the thing that screwed them over. Because if he was no trade clause, they could have traded him to the Utah for whatever. If he was, $35 million, maybe another team would have been interested in him for that value to a team that he would want to go to. And that's part of the front office. Trading away Toumani Camara and DeAndre Ayton just to get off DeAndre Ayton's contract because the relationship was ruptured is part of the front office's problem because they didn't value Camara right. And clearly he's been something, a defensive anchor for Portland. You added Grayson, who is once again another Bradley Beal, Devin Booker archetype into that lineup. And then you traded Nurkic for Martin and Micic, which when you look at that 2020, Martin and Micic isn't good either. So for me, it's the front office because the moves they've made haven't been symbolic to resemble what Kevin Durant and Devin Booker need to compete. And they've been the one that is at fault for that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bruce here. I blame the front office on all this stuff, right? I mean, Coach Bud had his faults. Definitely, they are glaring, but the front office is the one to blame. Shortening this window of opportunity for, Devin Booker, KD to win a championship here in Phoenix, especially when they got got Bradley Beal on the team. $50 million or $57 million for player option and a no trade clause. That's just a no starter in terms of conversations with other teams when you trade him, when try to trade him, and we've seen that in the trade deadline. So I would have liked it. I mean, I was excited when Bradley Beal was coming over, but I think a lot of us too. But the way it turned out, it's really just disappointing.
Hi, my name is. My name is. My name is.
I mean, it's
all this negative Bradley Beal talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a knack on Bradley Beal at all. No, I mean he's a good player. It's just that you hinder your future with getting that.
Here's my question, because the front office I feel like is a little bit of an enigma. It's a little bit of a mystery because when Matt Ishbia came in, the Suns immediately pulled the trigger on a Kevin Durant trade. Mikal Bridges gone, Cam Johnson gone, Jay Crowder gone, first round picks, second round picks, whatever you want, gone. Get me that superstar Kevin Durant. Going in to the next big trade, hey, Chris Paul gone, Landry Shamet gone, second round picks, get me Bradley Beal. This is the only. I know it's kind of a nuanced thing because you can't fire the governor, you can't fire your owner of your team, right? I feel like James Jones and the front office have done what they were told to do. Far more so than I don't know what's happening, like the Mavericks. Like maybe that's an excuse somebody's using for the Mavericks. Like, hey, that GM was told what to do. Like, get rid of Luka. This is different. I feel like Ishbia came in and was like, get me some amazing players. I still think Bradley Beal is a great player, maybe not amazing, but when I think a low energy or not low energy, a past his prime Chris Paul is still very good. But a past his prime Chris Paul, a Landry Shamet, who I don't even know, is he in the league? Did he just come back? Is he somewhere? I think he's somewhere. And second round picks for Bradley Beal, I think you take that. I think you hope for the best and think that maybe in Washington they were just shutting him down because they were trying to tank. 100%, it's a no trade clause on a super max contract or at least a max contract. It's rough, right? But I don't ever want to think that like, oh man, I'm very upset with the front office for trying to reach for that brass ring. That's where I feel like, man, I just don't know if I can be like, James Jones, you need to be replaced, because I don't know who else would come in. Like, you want somebody to come in and be like, no, Ishbia, that's wrong. I'm going to go after role players. Like, maybe that's what's needed. Maybe you need that voice, and maybe James tried that. I mean, obviously, we don't know the internal dynamics, but I just think that, like, all of a sudden an owner came in with the resources and said, hey, spend big. I will spend big on these guys. Go find me just incredible talents. Did they work together? No. And that's what we found out. But to me, that's why I don't put the lion's share of the blame on James Jones. I feel like they were told, hey, go big fish, go big fish hunting. Nah, I'm messing it up. Either way, you guys know what I'm saying. Go out there and get me another star to put with my other 2 superstars.
Oh, well, don't get me wrong. When I say front office, it should be included on it.
Okay. Okay. So that's why, like,
Yeah, I mean,
I guess. So, well, let me ask you guys this. There's the blame. You have the blame on the front office. And do you think James Jones needs to be replaced? Or is it just that's where the blame is? They need to take their licks, understand that they made a mistake, make some corrections moving forward.
I don't necessarily know if it needs to be James Jones because, like you said, I don't necessarily know like who's calling the shots from inside. It could be Ishbia, pushing these trades. It could be Bartelstein having the connection with Bradley Beal and the agent being like, we know that we can get Bradley here and we would like this to form this relationship. That's why they were a late team interested. It could be James Jones. I don't necessarily know what it is. And I'd like to second that point because I think Ishbia was the type of guy that wanted to go star hunting. So I wouldn't be shocked if he was the one that pushed for the Bradley Beal trade and like to push to go for it. But you see with, a team like Brooklyn, who was kind of constructed similarly like Kevin Durant a couple of years ago with this same roster with, Kyrie Irving and James Harden. It didn't really work. So I don't know why the Suns front office would see the Kevin Durant mold last time and think, oh, that's going to work on our team when we just traded all our pieces that would fit around Kevin Durant and Devin Booker away to get Devin Booker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. One thing that we took a look at recently was this image that was shared, kind of a projection. Yep. And I apologize. This came through a group chat I'm in, and I don't know exactly who put it together. So I apologize if somebody wants to.
Bobby Marks. Probably.
Bobby Marks, did he throw this together? Okay. It's going to be interesting. So some big things I want to point out is that obviously the tax threshold, I feel like Suns fans, I blame Jake for big game fishing. Have you ever been in, in South Florida when the Bonita run? They're known as trophy fish, John. So they're kind of big. I don't know. Nobody blame John for ruining this episode or maybe the day. But I got a lot more stories coming up. Anyway, the big thing that all the Suns fans are paying attention to now is apparently the Suns fans, the Suns fandom, we're all accountants. And we're very interested in the first apron, the second apron, all that salary and taxes. And the most important thing is you see the projection going into next year. We'd be close to 11 million over. But Vasile Micic is on a team option that is going to be waived. I don't think anyone's going to be shocked by that because he's been healthy since he's been here, and he's still not getting played at all, which is kind of strange to me that we haven't even tried. Cody Martin is on a non-guaranteed. Nick Richards is also non-guaranteed, although is pretty reasonable. $5 million, I think, a year. So we'll see. I think he's earned that contract. I think that's a good contract. But if you let Vasile and Cody Martin go, my understanding is we would be under the second apron, which, correct me if I'm wrong, at that point you can aggregate salaries again. Is that correct? And you get a little more flexibility.
I don't know if you can aggregate salaries, but I'm pretty sure in trades you don't have to take the exact amount. So with the second apron, with Bradley, if we were to trade him, we'd have to take back 50 or less. I believe with being in the first apron, you can take more than what you are giving out. So if the Suns wanted to take back like $65 million in salary. They technically couldn't go back over the second apron. Not who's to say that they're going to want to do that, but that's something that they could do. Let me check.
All right, Mr. Boyd does let us know we can aggregate. One thing I threw out was total theory here, not that this would be a package we're offering up, but a Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, who wants these two good role players on their team, like we could, in theory, put them together in a package, because most people are saying trade Bradley Beal for X, trade Kevin Durant for Y, send them out to different places. But we could essentially be able to move multiple contracts at the same time. That's the big difference moving forward. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting. But I assume that's going to be the play. We'll get under that second apron and try and see what's out there, I guess. And so, knowing that, we've talked a good amount about it. But how are you guys still feeling on this idea? Do you think it's a foregone conclusion? I mean, Wendy of ESPN, Windahorse, was saying it's already expected. The Suns are expecting to do it. KD's expected to be moved. When he was asked recently, do you want to end your career in Phoenix? He said, I'm just focused on the Houston Rockets. So, Kevin, welcome back. Do you trade your namesake, the man you were named after?
I mean, they can't win without two Kevins. So, I'm kidding. I think if you can't trade, I think they would try to trade Bradley Beal first, and then if that doesn't happen, like what happened in the trade deadline, then they'd focus on trading KD. Are they starting taking phone calls for KD now? I don't think so. But if you're gonna want to extend Devin Booker's window in winning a championship, or at least be competitive around him, you're gonna have to trade Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant has a lot more value, even though he does have only 1 year left on that contract after this season. You can get the most out of a KD deal.
Real quick, I like to think that John wakes up in the morning and his wife's like, hey, let's do X. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have to go listen to this random podcast and eat a breakfast burrito. And so, like, it's actually an escape for him, but he's not going to let his wife know that. He's just going to be like, it's a work thing. It's a work thing. And so he's able to do it. So you're welcome in here anytime, obviously, Mr. Boyda. But Bruce, what do you think? Should we trade KD?
No, I don't think they should. I think that I've been on the train wave that booking KD can work. I think that they should try to do that. I think that if they can't trade Bradley Beal, they ultimately will trade Kevin Durant, because they have to get out of this second apron kind of aggregation. Like, they have to get out of this threshold that they're in. They can't do this again. It clearly won't work. So there has to be one of them has to be an out, and with the no trade clause, it's a little bit difficult to get Bradley Beal out. But I think that their main mission, once again, will be to try to trade Bradley Beal with the first apron, have some more flexibility. Maybe there'll be more teams that are willing to take Bradley Beal on, maybe with another disappointing playoff performance. Maybe Bradley Beal realizes that this isn't necessarily where it's going to work out and would like to still compete for a championship. So he's wanting to move. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's I'm going to say we should trade Kevin Durant, and here's the reason why. Because I don't think we could get anything of decent value for Bradley Beal, and maybe that's not the point. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. The point might just be getting off the contract and getting towards flexible contract movement. Somebody's not going to win the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, and that team might be, fifth or sixth worst, and they might just say, you know what, the next tremendous talent is not going to come to us either. Let's absorb the Bradley Beal contract. Let's get off some of our other not so great contracts, move them to the Suns. Maybe the Suns send them somewhere else as well, in kind of a multiple team trade. I'm sure that's what it's going to be looking like. Or there's going to be some talk about multi-team trades. But right now, my theory is kind of just that the Suns will look to move Kevin Durant and try and get the Kings ransom if they can. Bradley Beal, I feel like, as you point out, Bruce, it's not just no trade. It's such a huge contract that I think his value is actually going to be at its best around the trade deadline next year, where it's going to say, okay, here's just a year and a third left of this contract. Let's take this contract on. There's going to be a team that's middling that's going to say, we can take him on for a year, have him teach our young guys, and then let his contract expire with us. Because right now, I guess my concern is, what picks we have, what young players we have. Again, we can drop below that second apron and package stuff. Maybe it's an Oso with picks attached as well that go out with a Bradley Beal, or even a Ryan Dunn that goes out with a Bradley Beal to get another team to absorb that. I think Bradley is still productive enough. I think he would be more productive if Kevin Durant is not here. And the Suns just focus on, all right, we need defense, we need rebounding. Booker and Beal are our go-to scorers. Let's see where that goes. That's my concern with the Bradley Beal deal, is that I think the only way you move him is obviously he has to be convinced that he wants to go someplace and waive his no trade clause. But then that other team's going to sit there and say, we're not giving you anything that we don't have to for this. There's no picks coming back. It'll be the buffet of players that they might be able to send back. So that's my concern. That's why I think you trade Kevin Durant before he loses any more value. He just has the 1 year remaining next year. I guess you guys would try and convince him to sign an extension. Is that where you guys are at?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they'll make ultimately their decision before going into the season. So I think they'll try to move off Beal before going in. And if they can't, then they'll ultimately will trade Durant. I don't think they'll hold Durant kind of on that 1 year dangling contract. But I do agree that Beal's value will continue to go up into these, year and a half. And you could see the Suns in your scenario where if they're unable to trade Beal this season, they move off Kevin Durant and then play with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. Obviously, you want, if you're trading Kevin Durant, wings, defensive pieces, lengthy guys to play alongside those, scoring guards to compensate that lack of defensive efficiency in the backcourt there in the starting lineup. And then maybe next year or even at the deadline, you could move off of Beal's contract and then kind of get that full reset around Booker where you have that cap space going into, potentially the next offseason, or to trade for someone or to sign someone outright to bring them into Phoenix to work alongside Devin Booker, where maybe Devin Booker is that veteran in the story alongside where he was the younger guy when he was playing alongside Kevin Durant. But I think there are some teams that could be interested in Bradley Beal, and I might have to ask John on how to physically get it done. But I think that some like those rebuilding teams or teams that might want to stay afloat maybe towards the middle of the Eastern Conference would be interested in Beal to bring that offensive punch in.
We got a couple of questions to you both and to the contract expert guys on our chat. I've seen players before that renegotiates their contract to help their team. Is that something that's in the offing for Bradley Beal?
I don't.
Or is that against the rules?
I think it's
off-season?
a lot. Usually in the NBA, I feel like you see it more with buyouts, which usually mean there's 1 year left, and it's, hey, instead of us paying you $10 million, we'll give you $9 million, but then you can go wherever you want instead of just sitting here where we bury you on the bench. I feel like I've seen that, but Bradley's looking at making over $100 million over the next 2 years, regardless of whether he's on the bench or not. So being like, hey, man, why don't you just not do the no trade clause, or why don't you just take 20 million less? He's going to say, why? He lucked into it. That's why I never really blame Bradley.
Yeah.
The Wizards were like, please don't leave. He's like, you guys are terrible. We'll give you a max and a no trade clause. Okay, this is my career now. This is there's just no incentive to do it. Sometimes you see, I think too, a player like a Jalen Brunson redo the contract or in their contract extension sign for less than what was expected to try and add flexibility. But no, it's not as much like the NFL where you have partial guaranteed money, partial as you play the game salary, and they can say, oh, well, we'll give you a bonus next year and less money this year for our salary cap. Less massaging, I think, can be done.
Okay. And another question to throw to you guys: would you include Ryan Dunn in any Bradley Beal trade just to get off him,
No,
or KD for that matter?
no.
Well, so yeah, I would. And let me just stop you. Would I include a KD in a trade? I don't know what team are you trading Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal for that would have $100+ million worth of contracts to give back to you? It would basically be like, Hornets, give us your team.
Ryan Dunn.
For
Ryan
these
Dunn.
players. What's that?
Ryan Dunn.
Okay, so sticking with Dunn, I would move Dunn. You know, I love what defense he's bringing. It's not like he's the greatest defender of all time. So I would add him if it gets us off the deal, and it's not like mortgage any more of your future. And maybe if there's stuff coming back into it. I mean, Bradley Beal to say like the Utah Jazz, they're not going to be like, we'll give you some first rounders. We love this guy. But if you say, here's a Ryan Dunn, they might just be like, okay, we'll accept it maybe without additional sweeteners. I don't know. I feel like Ryan softens the blow because then they can explain to their fan base, yeah, we've got this guy locked up for 2 years. He's good, not amazing, but look at this young talent we're also bringing in at the same time. So I would trade Oso. I would trade Ryan Dunn. I would trade both of them with a Bradley Beal at this point. But to me, it's a little bit kind of like, Yusuf Nurkic was not a bad center. I'm just going to go back to this real quick. He was not a bad center. And in exchange for a Yusuf Nurkic and a first round, like anything goes pick, excuse me, just one of our like first round picks, right? Yeah. Either way, first round pick, Yusuf Nurkic for Cody Martin and Vasily Micic, who have contributed a grand total of 0 seconds to this Suns team since they've arrived. I'm sorry. It's, if that's okay, then I'm okay moving a couple of young rookies that we are proud of. They add something for us, but like I don't think any team's looking like, hey, if you started a franchise tomorrow, who do you build around? Give me a Ryan Dunn. I would start right there.
Okay. Bruce, you were against it.
Yeah, so this is the thing, and a lot of people kind of were feeling this about Kamara, and you can say that arguably different players. Kamara obviously a little bit bigger in size, more defensive impact, but Kamara last year wasn't as much of a defensive impact for the Blazers, and it took him time to grow and find his role. And I think Dunn, with his stagnated play, has stunted his growth this season, and we've kind of seen him be a better offensive player than Toumani Kamara has been. And I think his defensive abilities could also get there as well. I think that if it's going to keep Durant and extend the contract and you're going to be competing for a championship, you're trading away one of your better defenders, then you're going to have to go out and sign another defender. And then you're asking for or trading for one. I don't know necessarily if I'd be wanting to give up on Ryan Dunn to get off a bad contract to then try to compete without having his importance. I think Jake's point of him not being like a Jonathan Kuminga, like very highlighted piece is very true, but I think that he could be a very solidified like role player / like 4th, 5th star in a starting lineup on an NBA team. And the Suns could use that because players like those Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnsons, a lot of people, I'm for the KD trade, but a lot of people that wanted to keep the Twins are like, well, those players would fit perfect around Devin Booker. So those people would have that argument.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm torn. Like, I think he definitely could. He's going to grow into his role. He's going to develop even further. He's not there yet. Is your goal to compete next year for a title? Is your goal going in with a 29-year-old Devin Booker to roll the dice and see if you can be competitive, or is it we might have as Michael P says, let's take a step back and then we'll take 2 steps forward. We can maybe be competitive, maybe a little bit less so. And then the following year, we're going to be right back at it. Side note, Jeff Green played the other night against for the Houston Rockets, and he was phenomenal. So let's just bank on that. Jeff Green would have been great. I'm going to mention this because Mr. Voida keeps bringing it up, and that's a good question.
Yeah.
So should we be rooting for OKC to fail in the Western Conference playoffs, thus pushing them to believe they are just a Kevin Durant away from winning the chip? 100%. I'm also cheering that the Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets feel the exact same way as well. Although Thunder is that team. Thunder are the team that, if you ever play board games with friends, it's that guy that was super quiet the entire game, and then all of a sudden he's like, I have all the resources, and he's competitive at the end as well. Like, that's the Thunder right now. They're competing for a title and their future. Like, they're going to have to just, like, let go of very good players because they don't have enough roster spots. Like, they don't need good, they'll need great players. So those good players are just going to have to be moved for something. But basically any team with more picks than us, I'm hoping fails. That's why I'm go Denver. Go get it, Joker. You deserve another chip. If you're going to come out of the West, I'm okay with the, if Boston wants to put another banner up, Bruce, I might be on board with that. But Orlando Magic, I'll be just a fan of basketball, but no, 100%. I'm going to be rooting against the Thunder. So what about you guys?
I mean,
Well, yeah.
Okay, go, Kevin. Go. No, you go.
Yeah, I mean, so John followed it up with, that means we're going to be rooting for the Lakers.
No,
Nuggets
Nuggets.
Nuggets for sure.
Yeah.
Nuggets for sure. Even though their fan base became toxic when they won the championship, but yeah, I mean, you just have to do sacrifices.
We will too. When we win, we'll get very toxic.
Well, it's toxic now, but
it's in the wrong direction, right?
It's gonna be even more toxic when the Suns win the chip in 2083, based on that.
AI has us winning a title. That's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of the players of OKC. You have their J-Dub, you have Lou Dort, who's a very tough defender. You have Isaiah Joe, who's a very good three-point shooter. So why not?
I saw something like a Lou Dort, Isaiah Hartenstein plus first-round picks. Kevin Durant.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know. How many? Like four?
What gets us is Lauri Markkanen, actually, and the other players go to a third team. So no.
Lou Dort's a good wing, man. Isaiah Hartenstein, he fixes that interior thing that we're missing. We'd still have Beal and Booker. I mean, I think you could do a lot worse than 4 first-rounders. I don't know if that was the exact amount, but 4 first-rounders, Dort and Hartenstein coming back with for a Durant trade.
I mean, I think that's as good as it's gonna get.
If we're doing a trade with the Thunder, the person that I would want is Cason Wallace. Don't know if you guys know much about him, but he's the guard from Kentucky, one of the best defensive young guards in the NBA. And I've kind of mentioned with Booker, the kind of perfect pairing for him for a guard complement, I think, is a defensive secondary ball handler. And I think he can grow into the ranks of, an Alex Caruso or like an Amen Thompson, maybe not the hype of an Amen Thompson, but obviously has the same type of mold or build as those types of guards. And I think that pairing him alongside a Devin Booker would be kind of effective. I would wish for, there's any team that I think that he kind of fits in with, it's going to be those 3: OKC, Houston, Memphis. And I feel like with OKC, they have obviously the best kind of talent or, pool of talent to really assess to kind of draft or kind of pick from as well. So if I'm the Suns, I'm hoping that that's the kind of call that I'm getting from. And if the Thunder, do fall like they are, if they do fall, I think they could go that route because they could look at the Celtics from a couple of years ago and kind of see that route as kind of, maybe we need to make these moves to kind of go in and get these veterans to kind of compete. So I don't think it's a shot in the dark for OKC. And I think that like a J-Dub and Cason Wallace package would be nice for the Suns to get in return.
Yeah, I'd like a J-Dub on the Suns as well. But if I'm going to get that call from Houston, I would ask for Amen Thompson.
I would too. I just don't know if they're going to give him up. I think that if Houston calls, it's probably Jabari and Cam, maybe Tari. I'd want Tari, but I don't know if they'll take Tari.
Dillon Brooks.
Yeah, and Dillon Brooks.
Jeff Green will be an unrestricted free agent, so he will. No, here's my only thought. I don't know, totally shot in the dark here. I kind of get the feeling that Kevin does not want to go back to Oklahoma City. And I don't know. You guys probably have never been to Oklahoma City in your lives. I've never been to Oklahoma City. I've never been to the state of Oklahoma. It's not a bad city. It's actually, from
Tornado
everything
City?
I've heard about it, that like there was a convention for my work that was out there, and I just didn't make it last year. But I could also see that like Kevin Durant might just have the attitude. Like Kevin's won titles. He is a solidified superstar. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Like, hey, do you want to go team up with your old team in Oklahoma City? And like, I just don't think he's drawn to nostalgia. I don't even think he's drawn to chasing titles. Like, I think that those are the secondary benefits to him. I could see him much more being like, Memphis, who the heck lives there? Like Oklahoma City? No, I've been there. I'm done with it. Like, oh, Houston could be cool. It sounds like a party city. Like, I think he likes chilling almost as much as balling. And so, like, bring him to a competitive team with a fun city. I think that, and being that he'll be on a 1-year deal and able to kind of negotiate it, I think he's going to push for something like that. So, just a theory. But that would be my concern, because I know everyone's looking at OKC being like, look at that treasure trove of picks. It's going to be phenomenal. And it's like, I just feel like Kevin Durant's going to be like, no, I won't sign an extension there. So don't even think about trading. So we'll see. Real quick, we're actually decently on time today, only a few minutes late, or a few minutes over so far. So let me pull up the schedule ahead. We have the LA Lakers taking them on tomorrow, followed by the Toronto Raptors, who, of course, young, athletic, and long players tend to give us fits, even though they're 24 and 43.
We're gonna lose that one.
Yeah. Then we play the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, gentlemen,
Richard, what's happening?
what's happening this week? What is your go-to prediction? And then also, let us know where we can find you guys. Oh, and third thing, you guys do anything for St. Paddy's Day? So prediction, where we can find you. And Kevin, what are you doing for St. Paddy's Day? Let's start with you.
How many games? Lakers,
Yep.
Raptors,
Lakers, Raptors, Bulls, and Cavaliers.
Bulls, Cavaliers. 4.
Mhm.
Oh gosh.
Two
Probably say,
easy
2.
games and 2 tough games.
I'd probably say 2-2 with a
Ooh.
win against the Lakers, and as well a win against Chicago. So, and then you guys can find me at I'm Kevin PS. And then St. Paddy's Day, we don't really celebrate, but I have my beers over here. So
Did we watch you bite the neck of the other one yet?
you did, yes.
Wasn't drawn to it. Go run and grab another one. I want a slow motion on you biting a bottle.
Oh, for sure, I got you. But let's go to Bruce while I grab the other bottle.
All right, Bruce. Prediction where they can find you in the St. Paddy's Day plan. I mean, Boston's going to be wild, I assume.
Yeah, so we can get into that. I'll get into the St. Patty stuff in a little bit. But for prediction wise, it's 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lakers, Raptors, Bulls, Cavaliers.
2 and 2. I think they're going to be able to beat the Raptors this time. I think they're going to get revenge. They'll lose to the Lakers. They'll lose to the Cavs. Bulls, they've been able to beat. I'll take it. I think they'll be able to take care of them. Once again, the Suns will have a little week like this where they get our heartbeat going, and we'll be seeing them probably inching closer to that 10 seed as we get closer and closer to the finals. But you can find me over on Twitter and Blue Sky at Bruce Velez. You can find me on YouTube at Celtics and Suns Digest, and you can find my writing at Brightside and at Last Word. And for some St. Patrick's Day festivities, unfortunately, will not be going to the Boston Parade. I've gone the last couple years, and last year saw some brutal violence going on, and they're trying to, I guess,
It's just Boston pride.
yeah, they're trying to close off the violence for the parade, so they're making it more protective. So we will not be attending that, but we will be celebrating because we're going to be going out tonight, going out and getting some drinks with some friends. So a little early St. Patrick's Day celebration, but we will be out there.
Okay.
Before you go, Jake.
Oh yeah. Wait. Let's. Oh no, sorry. There we go. Let's zoom in on this a bit. All right. Free dental care in the Philippines. That's what we need.
Yeah. Go see my medical insurance.
That looks painful to me, and I wasn't even the one biting on it. Lots of talk about Boston in there. And shout out, I don't know if you guys know this, but last year, about this time, we had a special guest on, the former Phoenix Suns center, Patrick Burke, joined us on Suns Planet podcast. Go back, check that out. You can jump to the second half. Well, actually, you can jump right away into it, that one, now that I think about it, because right away, as we usually cover the games, he let us know he doesn't watch the games, so we kind of jumped past those games real fast and started talking about Ireland and how corned beef and cabbage is nice, but it's not like the only thing that Irish people eat. There's other things out there. So I know I'm looking to, me and the family, I think we're going to be second worst episode ever behind the German episode. Jeez. I didn't know So Says Jay entered the chat. Anyway.
John chose violence today.
Oh, my God. Somebody's been listening to Sunday Bloody Sunday too much this morning. My God, that was a shot across the bow. Yes. Sorry, we didn't even give a little shout out. A little moment of silence for Oliver Miller. Suns, the Big O. It was a sad thing to see that he's that we lost to him. He was on the NBA Finals team, rookie of that year with the Charles Barkley-led 1993 Suns. And Darth Vader, I'm trying to be a Bostonian. Gosh, dang it. I tell you what. Bruce, it's tough right now for you. Let me ask you guys real quick. Do you guys even like Guinness?
I don't mind it. We'll have like a couple, but
they hate it.
I'm not gonna drink it like my preferred choice, and I wouldn't have like multiple of them, but I'd have like one or two. Yeah.
Okay. Kevin?
No, I haven't tried one. Maybe something, Bruce.
I will say this: there's an extra stout out there. It's not my go-to, and I gotta give a hat tip to Mr. John Voida. I knew about the nitrogenated for smoothness, but I did not know that basically means you can chug it far easier. And so, hat tip to him. That was my first chug today. It was a hat tip that Suns Jam showed me that basically, you can guzzle whole 15 ounces down like it's water. So Guinness, I can chug the shit out of them. It's that time of year. So get your Irish whiskey, get your Irish beers together, celebrate. I'm going to say we're going 3-1. Turn this franchise around. I think we're going to take out the Lakers, the Raptors, the Bulls. And
after all this time, you still are
just
optimistic,
phenomenally good team, and we're not ready to take them out. So 3-1. I'm going to lie to myself and tell myself that that's what's going to happen. You can follow me at Fallen Founder. You can't find me on Blue Sky because I ain't given up on you guys on Twitter yet, like Bruce. And then let's see. Was there anything else? Oh, advice for the Suns.
Damn it! Sorry, guys. I lost my composure out there. I'm an idiot.
Frankie, don't worry about it, all right? We're going to make those points up, I promise you that. And your skin's going to grow back, too. I'm sorry. Okay, now how many events do we actually have left here?
One. Frank's accident definitely set us back, but if we pass athletics, we're in. So.
Come on, all right, everybody. That's what I'm talking about, guys. We've made a great effort so far. Let's just keep it up.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've come too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure.
Were you guys not able to hear that?
Faint audio.
Okay. Well, we'll work on that. I brought over a ton of our old stuff today. So,
is that Vince Vaughn?
That was Vince Vaughn. It was Will Ferrell in his trunk. So, just keep our composure. We've got a chance. If you like the show, guys, you can show some support. Buy me coffee. It's in the description. And it can be a coffee. It can be a beer. It can be a beer-like coffee. like Guinness that my wife doesn't like, which means I get to slam all of these all day long. And they're only 4.1%. So I feel like you can nurse yourself throughout the day and be like, oh, yeah, I've had like 15 Guinnesses. Guinness-I? Something like that. So, yeah, it'll be good. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Let's go, Suns. And Al McCoy, take us home, buddy.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay with us as the Suns get set to shine here on their home court.
Here's Perry. Cigar Hurd. Here's the jump shot. Good! It's good!
Al McCoy with you courtside. Pumped up a three.
Shazam! He ties it. Hey, D.A. Al and Tim up here.
happy
Right. Yeah.
I know it's the ball, but happy birthday, baby! Here's Cameron Payne out on top. Durant, three-pointer straight away.
Shazam! I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone in this arena this afternoon, to all of those that are watching and listening on radio and TV. Thank you for allowing me to tell the story of the Suns for 51 great years.
That pretty much wraps things up here. And for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there. Thanks for being with us tonight. And from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.